I see people being critical of Rogan. They're like, oh, he's all conservative right now. He went to Texas, he's all conservative. And I like really thought about it. And I was like, I don't know, like there's a friend of mine, like I know him. Like, I was like, has he changed? And my suspicion with Rogan is that like he's always had maybe an aversion to authority or being told to live a certain way. And I imagine when he was younger, the people telling him how to live were conservatives going, you shouldn't be doing drugs.
Yeah, very puritanical people.
Yes, the puritanical conservative.
Don't be gay.
Don't be gay, don't whatever. And then he probably rejected that. Don't have tattoos, don't do this shit. He rejected that, right? And that probably made him very democratic. And now the people telling him what to do are liberals going, you better get this vaccine, you better do these fucking drugs, you better get in line, don't tell these jokes are offensive. So now the rejection of that positions him as this person who's conservative. But in reality, and I think that's why a lot of us all go, well, now I think I'm feeling more conservative. When I was younger, I was more Democrat. No, it's just who's telling you how to live. And whoever's telling you how to live, if you have a little bit of a free spirit, you start going, well, I don't like you telling me how to live, so I'm going to look at these guys over here, see if they're telling me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this idea, and I wanted to figure it out ideally before Rogan even bring it there, but like, I'm kind of letting go of this idea that there are political parties. I think there's just personality profiles or personality types. Because the extreme, we've all said this, the extreme conservative and the extreme liberal, it's the same personality type. We are not special or smart or whatever. We're just a different personality type that might be the anti-authoritarian, don't tell me what to do personality type. I've been trying to figure this out, and like, I don't even think we have that many political beliefs that we truly feel as much as our personality profile lends itself to this thing
it's like
in this moment in time.
Yeah, like what is happening culturally and how does it impact our identity? And then depending on how it impacts our identity, whoever's defending our identity will gravitate to, and whoever is rejecting our identity we'll move away from. And I think black people probably felt this way. They're like, oh wow, Democratic Party is really like kind of listening to our concerns about like racism and the civil rights movement, and they all gravitated towards that, right? And I think maybe even now they're like, all right, have they done much for us since then? And maybe they have, I don't know, but there's a little...
We are looking at it like, wait a minute, we keep supporting this party, but we're not getting anything out of it. You know what? Our vote isn't guaranteed anymore.
So, and simply is just an identity thing, which is like, hey, who's going to help us? Yeah. And I think a lot of people behave in that way. And then since we look at American politics as a binary, we start going, oh, you're a conservative or you're whatever. It's like, no, we didn't change. Maybe our identity's changed a little bit, sure, and the things that we value change. You have a family and then all of a sudden that's a concern. But who we are hasn't really changed that much. How the different political parties are impacting us has changed. And we will always just gravitate towards the one that feels like they're not telling us what to do, or at least supporting the way that we want to live. And I think that might, I think there's something there. So it's not like, I'm in the middle. Like, no, we're not in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just culture has changed, and the way that the parties are talking, the things that they're branding themselves around, change. And as that happens, we pivot. Trans wasn't an issue in the fucking 40s.
In the early 2000s.
Right? So it's like the parties couldn't argue about that.
Yeah.
Of course.
And now if that is a major issue for you, you're going to lend yourself to whatever party's more supportive.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're a Jewish person and you're super pro-Israel, that's really important identity for you, you're going to go to whatever side is more supportive. So it's not this like in the middle position that people talk about all the time.
Yeah, and conservatives in the 90s were the anti-free speech people burning the rap CDs.
Yeah.
NWA, we hate that. Now conservatives are super free speech. It's a really weird shift that's happening.
So people act like we're the ones changing. No, the parties change. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
the parties value changes.
How much of that is a reflection of us, though?
You would think more, but since conservatives have like flip-flopped on what it is you can and can't say, like, have they realized that their constituents feel a different way?
That's what I think. I think
so. They're reacting.
They're
to
the grifters. They're telling us what we want to hear.
They're reacting to the algorithm.
Tails wagging the dog kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And as we tweet as conservatives, their trademark or whatever like hallmark beliefs might be pro-gun, pro-life, maybe, for example. Everything else is negotiable. Whoever is the guy that has the highest profile, that is pro-life and pro-gun, whatever else they say, I'm with that too, because they're with those two things. Those are the things I care about the most. So maybe that's what it is. And then if they see that, like, if the other politicians that are conservative see conservatives care about this the most and they're following these guys, all right, we're with all that shit too.
It's crazy out here, dog. It's really wild out here.
Yeah. But it is good to have these convos because I think it is like uncharted territory for us old dudes. Like, you probably grew up with this, but us old dudes that are like, we're kind of analyzing and seeing how this is working in real time. Information was very easy for us growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think your generation realizes that. Like, what was true and what was not true was definite and decided. Like, there was very little gray area. I felt what I feel now with information
Overwhelmed.
is overwhelming. When I was young, I knew everything.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. But I had the illusion of feeling like I knew everything.
Because there was only one source.
Exactly.
And then you just kind of, I don't believe in that.
And they
now
weren't
there's
even
50
that
sources.
far.
Yeah.
Like,
I
the
think,
sources
one of the
were...
biggest things I've noticed is that when we were younger, a fact was a fact. Now my fact is different from your fact. And I'm like, what is happening?
We live in our own reality.
The arrogance that we have.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The arrogance.
I think people could benefit from learning how media is taught. And in media school, they teach you that there's fact and then there's truth. And truth is fact through a perspective.
That's
and
good.
a lot of people don't know the difference between a fact and a truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't until you said that. So we just learned that right now. But it is true, and these are the things that you got to kind of...
That's media school day one.
Yeah. But how crazy is that now you got to educate kids on the media just so that they can digest it.
Yeah.
You know, there's some motherfuckers out there which, like, they have no interest, and I don't want to say majority, but, like, put it this way. One thing that I think is really fun.
Say it. Nah, say
Well,
it.
no. One thing is really fun, and I'm going to say it, but one thing that's really fun about, I think, our podcast is we like to indulge in the crazy conspiratorial shit, right? We have Billy Carson on, and I'll be honest, 90% of the shit he was saying is probably bullshit. Right? Like, I'm literally watching it. I'm like, there's no fucking way, but I love it. It's fun. It's interesting. I'm like watching an episode of like sci-fi. Maybe 20%, maybe 40% is real. Maybe there's some truth into it, but who fucking knows? I'm not going like, these are the facts, right? Even Graham Hancock's on, all these other guys. I'm like, tell me what this could be and let's just indulge. It's a fun little fantasy, right? And I like indulging it. But I also think that we'll have people on where we go, hey, tell us what you think of the world. And because we're interested in truth. We're interested in ideas that go against the grain for sure. But we're also interested in what we might feel is the truth. And then we take all these different ideas and we kind of balance them. And being comedians, we kind of maybe are more intrigued by something that hasn't been said. We're intrigued by like a line of thinking that isn't necessarily our own. Even if we disagree with it, we're like, ooh, no, he's kind of spitting. What the fuck is that? The Anunnaki is here? Okay, maybe there's Anunnaki. Like, we like going outside of our emotions.
Yeah.
But I and this is like recently come to realize, like, I think that people really do not like going outside their emotions. And it's to the point where I think that they really just want their emotions satisfied.
Yeah.
And the internet is a fascinating thing. And Mark and I were discussing this, which is like, before the internet, if you wanted to grift, right, you had to figure out the grift. How do you figure out the grift? You don't know how many people are reading an article in the newspaper. Maybe you knew how many books were sold, but
You got to write a whole book.
You got to write a whole book, but even before you write the book, you got to see if this book is really being sold a lot and where is it being sold. Now, not only does the internet tell you where the grifts are, it tells you from the content you're making what you can grift on. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the algorithm.
And the views are right there, so you know how big the audience is.
So the algorithm pushes you in the direction of what it wants you to create, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have like some real integrity in yourself as a creative, if all you want is success, if all you want is numbers, it's very easy to just kind of follow that. And I think that's what a lot of people will end up doing, right? You see it, they just pop on certain trends, right? It's like, You even see it like in comedy, right? Like, we'll put out some stand-up clips, then we put out a special, and then we put out the crowd work stuff. And then when people saw that was popular, they're like, oh, I'm going to put out crowd work now. I'm chasing what I think the people like instead of creating the thing that you want to create.
Yeah.
And then they'll even like complain that they got to do it. And it's like, fam, go invent some shit, loser. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Don't do it.
why don't you create the next trend that people do instead of begrudgingly following the thing because you are a slave to the algorithm? Create the new algorithm,
Yeah.
But the algorithm will dictate to the weak-minded creatives what they should be creating because all they want is numbers. They don't want actual, true, authentic creation. And in a way, the people that are consuming are actually manipulating the creators and not the grifters manipulating the innocent people. Like,
I think it becomes a flywheel. Like they perpetuate.
Yeah, they perpetuate themselves. But I guess what I used to think is like people were naive and then they go and they watch some video.
People were neutral, and then they get pushed this
And
way.
they get
that
pushed in
does
a direction.
happen. But largely, people are
Yo.
here, and I want to stay here, and that keep me in my echo chamber. I just want to hear what I want to hear.
But I don't think the neutral people get radicalized. I used to think that was possible and like, oh my God, look what happened. And they get caught in these rabbit holes and then we lost another one.
Yeah.
I actually think it's people that already feel these things and they already are maybe easily hypnotized, if you will. There's some folks out there and they already feel it and they're just searching for the validation. And then they search in for the validation for their opinions and their feelings.
And then you have that sweet algorithm where they don't have to search very far.
Exactly. And then
served to
once
them, right?
once you watch the whole video, the algorithm is already like, all right, well, here's 5 more videos about this.
Yeah.
And all of them tap into something you're feeling, even though they're different. So if you're anti-establishment, you got 20 different reasons why you can be anti-establishment. And then it starts populating your brain with arguments. And you could see these people, you could see like the people that are the easiest to be grifted on because they all have the same talking points. Like the same, if you are regurgitating the same 3 or 4 things, I don't care what it is. It could be politics, it could be about fishing, but if you all have the same 3 things, what you are is a person who felt something, couldn't really describe your feelings, a video satisfied those feelings with arguments, and now you're just spouting them. And so this has never happened before. Think about that. Back in the day, in order to grift, you had to get lucky.
Yo, this is why you can't, whenever one of the truth comes out on one of these red pill guys and you're like, oh, that's the end of him. It's not the end of him because
He'll
the
find
audience,
a new grift.
well, the audience still wants to hear that content. So they don't care if you X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
You did,
It was
you're
never about
phony.
him.
Just keep feeding me the content I want to see.
That's the thing. It's never about the person. It's about the utility that person offers you.
Yeah.
What you need is your feelings satisfied and validated.
Yeah.
And as long as that person satisfies and validates them, then he's still useful to you.
Yeah.
A lot of times these people don't even love the grifters. They don't care about them. They just satisfy them emotionally. The second the grifters change or culture changes, they're like, ah, fuck that guy. We don't need that guy. Or fuck that girl. We don't need that girl. And the really shrewd grifters keep on changing their grift with culture. And they're constantly adjusting. All of a sudden, they're talking about this new thing. And all of a sudden, they're talking about another thing. And all of a sudden, and they've never spoken about it before, but they're really passionate about it all of a sudden. When I see that, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is committed to the grift. And sometimes they don't even know they are. They see themselves as heroic.
Yeah.
You know? So it is an interesting thing that kind of happens where it's like, if you care about creating authentically, sometimes the thing you authentically care about lines up with culture, and then you have this amazing lightning rod moment, right? Because you really care about it and culture really needs it, and boom, we're right there. And then sometimes culture moves in a different direction and you're not passionate about that thing. And if you all of a sudden jump over because you're like, oh, I just need the views, I need to do it. We could have on a different version of Billy Carson every single week and it would be 5 million view episode every single time. That's not what the show is.
Yeah.
We like indulging in that. And then we want to speak to some guy running for president. Like that's what's fun because we like the different ideas. And I think we curated an audience that for the most part also enjoys that.
Yeah.
They like indulging in the wild shit, but then they also want to hear some truth and some real shit. It's so easy to just make money doing that.
Yeah.
It really is, but it is a choice.
Yeah. This guy was saying like some of these cult leaders don't mean to be cult leaders. Like they post their like little course about like how to heal your inner chakra or whatever, and then people are like, "Hey, you cured me of cancer. Hey, you helped me escape abuse," and you're like, "Oh, this shit is fire." And then you double down.
Yep.
And then people are like coming to you more and more and more, and like they're buying more courses, and then all of a sudden this spirals for 10 years, and then you become a cult leader.
Yeah. I honestly, a lot of them, I don't blame them in any way because I think that they might not know it. Just like that example, like it might be their genuine passion. They might truly believe. Like Billy, I feel like believes it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe it. So I'm not going, oh, we're like knocking this dude. And I think the most effective ones are the ones that are committed. They truly believe it.
Yeah.
But there are ones who you could tell are just jumping.
My antennas go up whenever they're selling some course or something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you're selling anything, if you just believe in something, believe, and you should spread the word.
Yeah.
But if there's money attached to it, I'm like,
The second you got a course, I'm skeptical. I'm trying to think of what the psychology is of the person who goes toward that thing.
Talk to us.
I don't know. I think there is some level of, I don't know if trauma is the right word, but some level of hurt and feeling something that pushes you toward a certain grifter and a certain thing. And then once you find that and it resonates with you, now that's all I want to hear. Red pill guys, not the people preaching, but the people following, are hurt by women. I could have easily been one of those. I wasn't getting any girls. I was whatever. And then there's some anger and hurt there. And if this thing makes you feel better about it and it leads to a little bit of success, even if it's fleeting success, I'm in, and that's all I want to hear. I don't care who the fresh and fit, whatever the drama is, I don't give a fuck because they're telling me what I want to hear.
As long as the utility is there.
Everything I'm in.
Yeah.
And if it's not you, if you quit, I'm finding someone else. And that's why I couldn't. You put this into perfect words because I couldn't figure out. Like I never really blamed Fox News because the audience was fucking there. You're telling them what they want to hear.
They need it.
They need it. And there was another thing I was trying to. I couldn't remember. I can't remember.
And then Fox will flip flop depending on who the front runner is. And you know why they do? Because the audience.
They're not evil.
The audience
They're not
goes,
yeah.
Stop telling me the truth. No. We like Trump.
Yeah.
Tell me why Trump is good.
Yeah.
And then everybody at Fox gets in line. I've done shows with these guys. I've seen them off camera, talked to them off camera, had them all tell me that Trump is a bozo, and then seen them
Tucker
lick Trump's balls.
Tucker.
When they say, yeah.
And that, to be fair,
But not
to
just Tucker.
Yeah, but
All of
and
them.
to be fair to him,
Yeah.
I used to really judge him for that. But as we're having this conversation, yeah, he's giving the people what they want to hear. If I don't give it to them, someone else will. Fox didn't get to number one in the ratings because they manipulated it. They got to number one because nobody was telling these people what they wanted to hear. Every other news was going one way, and they said, oh, there's a whole group of people that want to hear something else. Let's just feed that market. Big gray space. Let's just feed it what they want to hear. Yeah.
The people will tell you what they need.
I'm curious, as a Catholic, how do you feel when you see like adults getting baptized and converting? Do you see that as grifting, or are you like happy that more people are joining?
Like that the people that are getting baptized are grifting?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I see it as like people looking for like community and purpose, and like they found this religion that like gives them that. So whether they convert to Islam, assuming that they're good faith actors, then I see it as them just being able to subscribe to the, some type of greater mission.
Because it's like, I recently saw a video with, who was the guy we had on, Russell Brand? So.
Russell
was very,
catching that Christian grift right now. Heavy.
That's what I'm saying. Like when we spoke to him, he was very Buddhist, all that shit. And
Eastern,
now,
yeah.
Oh, he saw that.
Didn't they get married in India, him and Katy Perry?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
They got
like,
married
so
in
when you see that doesn't like kind of upset you. I'm like, I would look at that and be like, nah, I think you're kind of just like bullshitting.
That's the thing. You don't know, like, you can't get inside someone's mind. So, like, you can make all these
That's true.
speculations and be like,
Which is truly, and I'm not even making it like a joke. That's the most God-fearing, actually religious way to look at it. You have the best perspective, which is empathy and love, and I can't assume.
Also,
his motives.
why would any Christian question it? Because if they truly believe it, why would someone else not? You know what I mean? Like it almost takes skepticism of the belief in order to see it in others.
Yeah, of course you converted.
Because
So did I.
The truth. It's
like
the
somebody.
fact.
It's like somebody moving to New York and going, "This is the best city in the world." None of us go, "This motherfucker lying."
I do,
So that
but
we
that's because I
have
don't believe it
unity.
already. Y'all believe it already.
No, I'm saying us.
Yeah.
Like we are
Yeah,
the
yeah,
devout
yeah.
New York Catholics. So when anybody goes, "Yo, this is the one and true greatest city in the world," we go, "Of course." Yeah. This finally you see it. This guy's an idiot. Everyone else sees it.
And it lines up because this city molests you every chance. So actually, it's a perfect.
We like the abuse. We like the abuse.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
But yeah, I do think if someone's going to join a major religion, I think every major religion is like a good organization to be in generally. Like they persisted this long because they're able to sustain, like the fruits of what they preach are good, whether it's like Islam, Judaism, Christianity. But like, so I would prefer someone triple down on Catholicism or Islam than go into like some fringe
Weird cults.
random cults that I don't know anything about that's only been around 20 years and the fruits of it might be poison.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
And there might have been iterations of this that were fringe, weird cults throughout history.
Well, you could argue every religion starts as a cult.
But to your argument about time starts to weed out the shit
Yeah.
that doesn't really offer utility. So now, a few thousand years later, you're like, okay, this might have some things that are a little bit difficult to do, but the community is fucking great. I feel great when I go to church.
You help people, treat your neighbors yourself.
Everybody can have a run. Champion can have a run. Nike, been here.
Yeah.
I trust Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like a Darwinian selection of like
Absolutely.
the product of it.
Like
Whereas,
it's not, go.
Some cult that started in 2000 and everyone's getting abused and they're taking all the money from people and they're like there's a death cult and like they're killing each other off.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to last more than a decade.
I want us to have the cult of people who enjoy information they might not agree with, like to hear it out, willing to change their minds, willing to make a new opinion. Like the cult of, what is that shit I was talking about in the beginning of the episode that I am?
Prisoner of the moment.
Prisoner of the moment. That's what we should have. You know, prisoner of the coolest information that you just heard. Cult, you know, but I do really want that, and I think maybe I thought everybody is like this because the people that I've ended up becoming friends with are all like this. Like we say different ideas. Maybe we agree. Maybe we don't. We discuss them. Maybe I'm convinced. Maybe I'm not convinced. Maybe you're convinced. And it's like a really fun way to go about shit. And it could be about sports that mean nothing. It could be about life that's really important. But for us, that's always been the kind of dialogue. And everybody says they want that. They're like, let's share ideas. And the best idea will win. And everybody says that. But based on what is being consumed, if you look at right-wing people are only consuming right-wing shit, and left-wing people are only consuming left-wing shit, and they're both spouting this nonsense that we should be able to have conversations. When are y'all listening to the convos?